Good evening and welcome to the news at 10. Jordan tomorrow marks the 45th anniversary of the passing away of His late Majesty King TALAL bin Abdullah. His Royal Highness Prince FAISAL bin Hussein, the Regent, visited the tomb of the late monarch, where he laid a wreath and recited verses from the Holy Quran. The Prime Minister, cabinet members and other top civic and military officials also paid their respects at the tomb. Prime Minister Hani al-Moqi said applied technical training is vital for new engineers to access local and foreign markets and ensure they keep pace with the rapid advancement in this field. Moqi also told Jordan Engineers Association President Majid al-Tabba at a meeting that the government is ready to forge a real partnership with the association to start training programs for postgraduate engineers through the Development and Employment Fund and training institutes. The government, he pointed out, had recently approved a bylaw that would make it mandatory for contractors to employ a certain number of local Jordan engineers, technicians and workers in construction projects in the country's governorates. A key demand raised by the Engineers Association head was amending the pension system for its members. The Prime Minister said the Cabinet would in the coming days discuss draft legislation amending the pension regulation. The deadline for registration by candidates running in the upcoming municipal elections ended yesterday evening. The Independent Election Commission said it had received some 6,950 candidacy applications. These including 135 for the Amman Municipal Council, 1,314 for the Governorate Councils, 617 for the position of Mayor, and 4,866 for membership in municipal or local councils. President of the Electoral Commission, Khulal, said the Commission's Board of Commissioners will decide whether to accept or reject an application within 7 days from the candidacy expiry date, according to the municipalities and decentralization laws. Minister of Planning and International Cooperation Imad Fakhoury led a coordination meeting between the Ministerial Committee on Decentralization and representatives of donor countries. He said the meeting was to secure additional technical and financial support for the success of the decentralization reform project. Fakhoury said the ministerial panel presented to the donors the requirements and needs for a successful decentralization scheme after local elections due to be held next month. He said the elected municipal councils and local governments needed to build their systems, databases, electronic linkage and strategic plans of their governorates. The minister said foreign aid is needed to build the capacities of the elected local councils. In the Syrian city of Hama, a suicide bomber killed 2 people and injured 9 others in the second such attack this week. State television said the attacker set off an explosive belt at a bus station in the southwest of the city. Meantime, U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson said Washington is prepared to discuss with Russia joint efforts to stabilize war-torn Syria, including no-fly zones. He added the United States wanted to discuss with Russia the use of on-the-ground ceasefire observers and the coordinated delivery of humanitarian aid to Syrians. Iraqi forces pushing towards Al-Maidan al-Shireen district in the northern Iraqi city of Mosul broke the terrorist defenses and have reached within 200 meters of the river bank. They are encountering stiff resistance from a few hundred terrorists lodged among thousands of civilians in the old city's maze of alleyways, particularly from foreign suicide bombers. The military has predicted final victory this week after a grinding 8-month assault. European Union interior ministers agreed on a number of measures to abate migrant influx to Europe. They agreed to beef up the Libyan coastal rescue services, step up deportation of failed asylum seekers, and fund African countries from which people are fleeing poverty, hoping to find work in Europe. Escaping wars and poverty, more than 360,000 refugees and migrants arrived on European shores across the Mediterranean last year. More than 85,000 have reached Italy so far this year. The world's 20 biggest economic powers are gathering in the German port city of Hamburg for a two-day summit discussing financial stability, climate protection and security. German Chancellor Angela Merkel said she saw various options for resolving differences over climate policy at the summit. US President Donald Trump faces tension at the meeting after he decided last month to pull the US out of the 2015 Paris climate deal. Authorities are anticipating violence with thousands of protesters from around Europe pouring into Hamburg to join big demonstrations later. US President Donald Trump vowed to confront North Korea very strongly following its latest missile test. Trump urged nations to show Pyongyang that there would be consequences for its weapons program. The United Nations Security Council condemned the test and called for more sanctions to be imposed on the North. US Ambassador to the United Nations Nikki Haley told the UN Security Council that the United States would propose new UN sanctions in coming days. Michelangelo used a chisel to make the iconic David, and Da Vinci made use of a paintbrush to create the Mona Lisa. But one British artist has a very different approach to her art. Kiera Rathbone, born in 1983, uses a typewriter to create her work, which has included depictions of leading politicians like former US President Barack Obama. Typewriter art is an old skill which can apparently be traced back to the 1800s and was used by the artists like the American Paul Smith. The technique sees the artists produce an image with letters and symbols by typing on a typewriter. Her work can go from £150 to thousands of pounds. And finally, a cool night and a moderately warm day tomorrow with a high of 33 degrees in Amman. The Gulf of Aqaba should expect a warm night and hot day tomorrow with 41 degrees, light winds picking up at times and somewhat choppy seas. And with that, we come to the end of tonight's news. I'm Abu Bakr. Have a lovely weekend.